Welcome in. This is Splash, the women's basketball show. This is where we're going to be talking about the WNBA, some women's college basketball when it's time, unrivaled when it's time, really a space where we are going to discuss women's basketball at its highest level because women's basketball deserves to be talked about at its highest level. I am going to be the host of this, Keenan Warner. At times there are going to be other guests, possibly my brother, who I do the Warner Brothers podcast with, Kyle, or others, depending on what goes on. But this is going to be the women's basketball show where we focus on the women's game, primarily the WNBA, but more around it and more to come. So, without further ado, let's get into the show. The WNBA season is starting today, and I couldn't be more excited for this season. This season's going to be a fun one because we're adding more teams to the league. There's more intrigue, and people are getting paid. Shout out to Aaliyah Boston with that big contract, Asia Wilson, Jackie Young, and many others who are getting paid. The CBA has finally gone through the just due that all of these women deserve because they are extremely entertaining. And I understand that people are like, well, they can't compare it because they're not LeBron or they're not Steph or there's not these other people. They're very entertaining because they are able to play basketball in their own way, and the style of basketball in which they play generates views and generates great audiences. I mean, if we're talking crowds, what has a better crowd, the New York Liberty crowd or the Brooklyn Nets crowd? It's the same building. It is the same building. What gets more rocking? Is it Brianna Stewart dribbling up the court, or is it Noah Shajor dribbling up the court? You tell me. But anyways, no shots at the Brooklyn Nets at all. Just more so respect to the fact of what these WNBA women players are doing. So we're going to go over today the awards, what I have for the awards, WNBA first and second team, what I think that's going to be for the year. Power rankings of which team I think is going to be best to worst, or what I have presumably going into the preseason. Then we're going to go through just a whole prediction of the season and then the finals. We got to give it all. So first, let's go through and let's give all these power rankings. 15, I've got the Portland Fire. Portland Fire, a new team. It's hard to come in and be a new team and be good. I mean, the Golden State Valkyries last year, they ended up getting to the playoffs. Shout out to them because they did a phenomenal job. A lot of people can develop and showcase themselves, and that's what this team has the opportunity to do. Bridget Carlton from the Minnesota Lynx was always a role player. Now is going to be able to get a bigger star role. We've got Haley Jones, Sarah Ashley Barker, Sug Sutton, players like that, Carly Samuelson. There's a lot of different players on this roster that's going to have the opportunity to get more run, to get more time than they had prior. So Portland, it's going to be an interesting team to watch. It's going to be nice to have a team in Portland again. Portland is a great basketball city. We see how they ride for the Portland Trail Blazers. That building was rocking against the Spurs in the first round. So we see how Portland does things, and I'm excited to see what the Portland Fire can do. But they're at 15. At 14, Toronto. I think Toronto has a chance to be very competitive in a lot of these games. They've got Sandy Brondello, old coach of the New York Liberty, so they've got a real coach there, a championship coach. They've got Brittany Sykes, Marina Mabry, two veterans who have been in the league for a while who both are a certified bucket. So they're going to be a team that if you go in there and you're sleeping on them, they can get a jump. They can get it done. They can get a win. They've got Nyara Sabali. I believe I pronounced her first name wrong, but if I did, I apologize for that. Temifak Benlay as well. And then they drafted Kiki Rice. So they've got some youth there. Plus they've also got some veteran leadership. I think that team's a little bit better than Portland. But that would be the 14th team. Makes sense. Obviously, they had an expansion draft and then just a draft this year, a couple signees. 13, Connecticut. I like Connecticut. I think that the Connecticut Sun have some pieces. Sanaya Rivers, obviously, in year 2. We'll see what she can do. Anissa Mora in year 2. Aaliyah Edwards in year 3. Brittany Griner. So there are some players there. Then they obviously have people like Haley Van Lith they just signed. They got Kennedy Burke, Reagan Beers, who's a rookie there. So they've got some pieces. They've got some players that can go in there. Lacan, who played well last year. So it'll be interesting to see what the Sun can do, but the thing about the W right now is there's obviously with still so many little teams obviously wanting to go to Cleveland and Philly and other places here in the next few years. There's still so much high-end, high-level talent on these top teams to where the talent's not as much spread out yet. In 5 years, you'll have this talent more spread out to where you don't have 4 of the top 20 players on one team always, or have multiple teams that are like that. So right now, Connecticut at 13. And then this is where I think you can start arguing real spots if you want to move a team up or down, and I understand both aspects. At 12, I've got the Golden State Valkyries. I know they made the playoffs last year, but a lot of teams ahead of them, I think, have made some moves that I like, or even just got players back from injury that I like. Veronica Burton, Tiffany Hayes, Gabby Williams, Kayla Thornton, Saloon, who was a rookie last year. They got a team. That's a 5. That is a 5. They're getting Kayla Thornton back. She was injured towards the back half of last year. Getting Gabby Williams from Seattle, that's big. But overall, off the bench, they don't have the depth of these other teams, and they don't have the high-end star power. This team is like 1 star away from being, oh, wow. Like, obviously this is like high-end star, but even a Jonquel Jones at the 5, you're like, oh, okay, Jonquel with Gabby being able to be kind of the Swiss Army knife that she is. Veronica Burton, how she played last year. Tiffany Hayes, a veteran guard. Kayla Thornton, nice 3-and-D kind of wing. So, like, that right there, that's where that team can get a little bit better, but I have them at 12. 11, I have Seattle. Weird, because think back a few years to Seattle where you talk Gabby Williams, you talk Nneka Ogwumike, you talk Skylar Diggins, you've other players that are on this roster that are no longer on this roster. They have taken a youth perspective on this team. We've got Natisha Heidemann, who is a little bit more of a veteran presence there, but they got Flage. They traded for Flage from the Valkyries, which I actually would have liked her there too, but I do like her in Seattle because in a couple years when you have the length and the tenacity of Flage, Afam, who they drafted, Ezzy Magbagor, and Dominic Malonga, that's just going to be a long athletic team that in a couple years is going to be a difficult team to task with. But right now, it's a lot of youth. It's figuring out how they can play. I liked how Dominique Malonga played in Unrivaled in that 3-on-3 setting. She was really showing her offensive presence, the ability to stretch the floor, pick and roll with Paige. I think that she played well there, and hopefully she can take that and move that into the next step, into the WNBA, that is. 10, I have Washington. It's tough for me, honestly, because I wish they were higher, but there's so many good teams in the WNBA. I've got a real love to watch this team. I watch them probably more than any other team other than like your top 4 in Dallas last year. I love Sonia Citron. I think her game is perfect. I thought for last year for the Storm, she would have been perfect. Malonga was the better long-term pick, but I thought for their short-term and wanting to win a championship in that last year, Sonia would have fit perfectly. But the fact that they're getting Georgia Amore back, they've got Sonia Citron, who can be a real star in the league. You've got Kiki Iriefin. You've got Shakira Austin. You drafted Lauren Betts. You get Lucy Olson. I like what this team has. And you have players like Rory Harmon, Cody McMahon, who drafted. We obviously saw what Rory Harmon did in the tournament, getting to the Final Four. I know Madison Booker didn't have the greatest of games in that Final Four, of course, but Rory Harmon played really well for Texas. So, and then they got Dugalich as well, a champion, just won with Lauren Betts. So, I'm interested to see what this Washington team does. They're a team that could be on the outside looking in on the playoffs. I think that's probably where they will be. But they'll, like they did last year, will make it tough for teams down the stretch. And I think they could even sneak in with a good season if you get the right step from Sonia Citron. Lauren Betts comes in, plays really well. Possible Rookie of the Year candidate. I think there's going to be somebody else there. Actually, we're going to be about to talk about them here in just a second. But I have the Washington Mystics at number 10. At number 9, I have got the Minnesota Lynx. Weird, because they're a team that a couple years back was maybe a couple bad calls away from winning a championship. And with Nafisa Collier being out until early to mid-June, I think that this has taken a step back. They don't have Alana Smith anymore. They don't have Bridget Carlton anymore. They have lost some players. They still have Kayla McBride. They still have Courtney Williams. They have Natasha Howard, Nia Coffey. So I like what they have there. I just think that there's other teams, and with the fact of Nafisa being out for a bit of time, I think it's going to put them behind the 8 ball, and they're going to have a tough time coming back and getting into the situation of the playoffs, even though they'll be competing for it. And if they make it, does not shock me. Cheryl Reeves, great coach. And I didn't mention the one person who I think is actually going to be Rookie of the Year, a little foreshadowing to the awards, Olivia Miles. Olivia Miles is just a dog. Watching her in the tournament this year for TCU she just plays with such swag, such confidence. She is a dog, and she is that pick and roll between her and Nafisa it's gonna feed families, especially with Kayla McBride out on the wing. That's gonna feed families. Now we're getting into the top 8. So these are the teams that I think are going to make the playoffs this year. At 8, we've got the Chicago Sky. And within all of this, there's flux. I think these top 8 teams will make the playoffs. I think Washington, Minnesota, and maybe Seattle have a chance, but really just Washington and Minnesota will be the teams that will be fighting for those playoff spots. And within this, depending on how their season goes, a team like Chicago could get all the way up to a 4, and it wouldn't shock me. Because you have Skylar Diggins, Natasha Cloud, Courtney Vandersloot, Dejanay Carrington, J.C. Sheldon. That's just the guards. You drafted Gabriela Jaquez. You have Rakia Jackson. You've got Camilo Cardozo. You've got Ezra Stevens. Maddie Westbells, who could be a nice pick and pop girl off the bench, woman off the bench. I almost said guy because I'm so used to saying it NBA-wise. Pick and pop woman off the bench. There's so much talent on this roster. Can you get all of these new pieces who haven't played together in a short period of time and get things rolling? I think this beginning of the season will be a little bit difficult. I think by the end of the season, this is going to be a team that nobody wants to play because they can D up. They've got a lady in Rakia who can go out and get you 25. They've got a veteran in Skylar. They've got a big presence in Carmelo. I think this team by the end of the year could be more of a 6-ish seed kind of style team, but at the 8 because of the fact that I think it's going to take them a second to get going. 7, I got the LA Sparks. Kelsey Plum, Ariel Atkins, De'Erica Hamby, Cameron Brink, and the return in Nneka Ogwumike. That 5 is one of the best 5s in the league. I mean, you've got a top 2 pick in Cameron Brink. You've got Ogwumike, one of the best players in the W history, honestly. It's Hall of Famer, easy. De'Erica Hamby, very good, has been stretching the floor more and more as she goes on. Cameron Brink as well. Ariel Atkins and Kelsey Plum, Kelsey Plum can be the best player on any floor on any given night. Ray Burrell, who I'm super high on, played really well in Unrivaled, played well towards the back half of the season. Erica Wheeler, and then Tanaya Latson, and having Sanaya Fagan, a couple younger girls to play out there as well. I like this team a lot. I think that there's a lot of veteran presence, plus they have some youth athleticism. They're just good. I think the LA Sparks are going to be a team to deal with as they were last year. They had a little bit of a down mid-season, which kind of led to the back half of their season not going well, but I think overall this team's very good. 6, we got Phoenix. Phoenix was in the finals last year. They got dusted in the finals because of a lot of injuries, but finals last year. You've got Sammy Whitcomb. She won't be back. A couple people, these players are out as of right now, but they'll be back, and I think what they have in the meantime will be just fine. Sammy Whitcomb, you got Okoye Makani, Monique Okoye Makani. Some of these names I'm going to butcher, and I'm very sorry about it. But Kalia Copper, of course, Dewana Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, one of the best players in the W, Natasha Mack. This team has just got such good high-end talent, and Alyssa Thomas controls so much of the floor. She is such a presence. I think this Phoenix Mercury team is always going to be tough, and when you're going out there with Kalia Copper, who can be the best player on any given floor on any given night, Alyssa Thomas, who can be the same thing and typically is the best, or if not one of the 2 best players, Dewana Bonner, veteran, Natasha Mack, veteran, Sammy Whitcomb, a sniper off the bench probably if you start McConney. I think that this team is going to be a tough, formidable team and a tough out. And now we get into the top 5 teams. At 5, we've got Atlanta. Atlanta made moves. Obviously, they traded for Angel Reese. They've got Breonna Jones. They drafted Ocott from South Carolina. Big body, can go in there, can do things. I love Jordan Canada, Alicia Gray, Ryan Howard, Angel Reese, Breonna Jones with Naz Hillman and Tiana Pow Pow off the bench. That's a tough 7. That right there is a tough 7, and then you get more from the role players that you have there. But Pow Pow, I think in year 2 is going to just continue to blossom, continue to improve. Already a very good three-point shooter. We know what she can do defensively. I think she's just going to continue to develop as a ball handler, which she honestly was a ball handler before going to South Carolina. She transferred to South Carolina. She was a ball handler at her previous college. I'm not blanking on the college that she was at, but she really played the one there. And then when she went to South Carolina, Dawn Staley, obviously with how that South Carolina system plays, changed the way that she played, so she still has ball handling capabilities that she naturally had to use already. I think that she's going to be able to take another step off the bench, could be in the running for 6th player of the year, kind of that kind of level. At 4, we've got the Dallas Wings. Paige Beckers is my favorite women's basketball player of all time. I'm just going to come out and say that now. I got to watch her play at the University of Tennessee. I got to watch her at Knoxville play against the University of Tennessee. They lost that game. It was actually the last loss Paige had in college. So from there, she went on, obviously won, and then last year was the Rookie of the Year, put up 40 plus on the Sparks. She's already one of the best players in the W. The GM poll came out. If they could start a team with any player, it is Paige, because Paige is Paige. So when you have Paige, you've got Arike. Everything with her that was going off the court is gone now. We're good. Chargers dropped, all that good stuff. So Arike, then you get Alana Smith, runner, our co-defensive player of the year last year. You have Maddie Segrist, who's always been a solid role player shooter. Jessica Shepard at the 5. Off the bench, Lee Yuru, who was able to still... A lot of these players from Unrivaled, you got to see a little bit more and more of them, a little bit more development. Alicia Clark, and then obviously AZ Fudd. You have that. You also have Isaiah James, JJ Quinterly, who both played well last year, Odyssey Sims. This team has a lot of depth, a lot of talent. Can they put together this offense, which they have at the guard position? I love the addition of Jessica Shepard. I love the addition of Alana Smith. You're getting more defense there to go along with the offense. Paige is a very good defender. Arike's solid. AZ is a good defender. So you have guards who are offensively sound, but can also play defense. Obviously, you don't go to UConn and not really play defense. Gino doesn't allow for that. So I love this Dallas Wings team. They have a chance to do something really special here if they can put everything together, and I think Paige is going to be in MVP conversations this year, especially if they are a top 4 team. The top 3 teams, though, in the W are kind of universal. It's just the order you put them in my opinion. At 3, I've got New York. So this is, and what these ratings are here are what my standings are going to be. If you think that New York is the best team, that's fine. I just think this is how the standings are going to fall. And I'll read it overall after. 3, New York Liberty. New coach, so we're going to see how the whole system goes. Sabrina's out for a little bit of time here to start the season. Should be back late May. But you got Lainey Hamilton coming back. She was out. You got Johannes for a full season. She was not there for the majority of last year. Brianna Stewart, of course. Satu Sabali, who will be, I think she's just out with illness tonight, but she will be back. Leonie Phoebish, who will be back, the same thing. Jonquel Jones. So this team has its 5. The rolling out of 5 of Sabrina, Lainey Hamilton, Satu, Brianna, and Jonquel, with Leonie Phoebish off the bench and Rebecca Allen off the bench, and Maria Johannes off the bench is scary. That is just a scary team. They obviously have the ability to go win a championship this year. They're in live for a championship every single year. And as long as they stay healthy, they're going to be one of the 3 best teams in the entire WNBA. At 2, this is standings, not just what I think the best is. Las Vegas. Chelsea Gray, Jewel Lloyd, Jackie Young, Nalissa Smith, Asia Wilson. We know Asia Wilson is the best player in the W. We know Asia Wilson to me, is going to go down as the greatest WNBA player of all time. It's just a matter of time. The Defensive Player of the Year, the MVPs are already there, the championships are already there. It's just really, it's going to be just accumulated. Like, she will be, I think, universally recognized as the greatest WNBA player to ever play and to ever live when she retires. And I'm sorry, Diana. I'm sorry, Cheryl. I'm sorry, all the other great WNBA players, Maya, and so many other ones. She's done too much, and she's going to continue to do too much. Like, the thing about her, she's got a top 4 resume now, and she's still got half a career left. She's got 5 years in a prime left, and we know WNBA players can stretch their careers out even, like, we saw how long Candace was good for. Like, yeah, Asia's going to go down as a GOAT. But you have those 5, and then Kennedy Carter doesn't play last year, goes overseas, does her thing, comes back. That's an Energizer bunny off the bench. Someone's going to get downhill and be aggressive and be mean, tenacious defensively. Then you got Dana Evans, and you got Kristen Bell. This team's good. This team's really, really good. So the Las Vegas Aces is a team that's going to be in championship contention every single year, even if they go 500 for the first 28 games, and then they just go on a streak like they did last year. And Asia goes and comes back, and comes from behind and steals the MVP from Nafisa, and then they go to the championship, and then they go win it all. And that leaves the number 1 team as the Indiana Fever. And I understand that a lot of people, obviously because of Caitlin Clark, are going to be like, oh, the Indiana Fever, of course they're going to be really good. And they're going to be really good because their roster is really good. Like, not just a Caitlin thing. Without Caitlin on this roster last year, and with them dealing with more injuries, with the whole cramping situation with Kelsey, they were in overtime away. Overtime went away from going to the WNBA finals. No Caitlin throughout that whole playoff run. A crazy fact. Caitlin's obviously going into year 3. She has not played a home playoff game yet, because the first year that she was in the playoffs, it was a 2-1. So it was the home team, the higher seed, got 2 games at home, and then the lower seed. I always go lower as the numbers, like your 6 is the lower seed, even if you want to call that the higher seed, whatever. The lower seed got the home game last. So she hasn't gotten a home playoff game yet. That building's going to be rocking to get a Caitlin Clark home game. But you got Caitlin Clark, you got Kelsey Mitchell, you got Sophie Cunningham, you've got Hines Allen, and you've got Aaliyah Boston. Then off the bench, you've got Raven Johnson, who's been playing well in the preseason defensively. We saw what she did at South Carolina. Lexi Hull, who's always going to be in the 6th Player of the Year conversations. Monique Billings. And then you've got Dantas off the bench. Tipson, who was good at running, who was good in getting in transition running. This team has got so much there. I think the top 3 teams are Indiana, Vegas, and New York. Order them how you want. And then I think that next crop of Dallas, Atlanta, Phoenix, LA, and Chicago kind of can order them how you want there. And then I think Minnesota and Washington are close to that. Minnesota could creep in it more. That's just really the health of Nafisa Collier and how she comes back. And then you have I think you have 4 or 5 tiers of teams right now. But overall, how I think the standings are going to fall this season: Indiana at 1, Vegas at 2, New York at 3, Dallas at 4, Atlanta at 5, Phoenix at 6, the Sparks at 7, Chicago at 8, Minnesota at 9, Washington at 10, Seattle at 11, Golden State at 12, Connecticut 13, Toronto 14, Portland 15. Which means that Indiana, Vegas, New York, Dallas, Atlanta, Phoenix, LA, and Chicago are going to be the 8 playoff teams I think they are, and I think that the Minnesota Lynx and the Washington Mystics have a chance to make the playoffs. So let's go through these awards. Coach of the Year, I've got Jose Fernandez. So Coach of Dallas. Dallas obviously went from being one of the worst teams. They got the number 1 overall pick, but they're one of the worst teams last year. I think they're going to be a top 4 team this year. So I think that change, obviously they got AZ, you get Enrique, hopefully can stay healthy, Paige, and hope health all over the place. But overall, I think that team is going to be able to develop, and I think that jump is going to have Jose Fernandez as your coach of the year. Most improved, I talked about this player I touch named Ray Burrell. Ray Burrell over on Rivals was balling. I love the way that she was playing in the one-on-one. She was more confident. She was going out there. She was shooting. And I think that Ray Burrell, towards the back half of last season, was getting some more run, more and more stats. And I think this year for her is going to be fun for her. I like the way she plays. She's got some real game. And when she gets downhill, the length, the athleticism from Tennessee, I think Ray Burrell is going to be the most improved player this year. I could see her, last year she averaged about 7.5 points. I could see her getting up to 12 to 13 off the bench for the Sparks this season. Sixth player of the year, Lexi Hull. I think she's going to be in the running every single year with the Indiana Fever as your one. I think that you're going to have multiple awards come from here. And I'm just going to say it there. And to be quite honest with you guys, the Indiana Fever are not my favorite team. Like, my favorite player, as I said, is Paige. I watch the Wings. The Wings will be my favorite team. Like, I enjoy watching the Wings. I enjoy watching the Mystics. Love Asia. I just think this Indiana team's really good. It's not a Caitlin Clark effect only. Like, I really think this Indiana team's really good. Defensive Player of the Year, Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston's my favorite player on this roster. I think at some point, Asia can't win everything and won't win everything. I think there are going to be some years where when tie goes to the other person, where Asia's obviously going to be a top 3 to 4 MVP candidate. It's like Jokic in the NBA right now. It's like every year, oh, he's 2. Could he have won it this year? Yeah. Could he win it last year? Yeah. Or the year before, the year before, the year before. Like, he could win it every year. The Asia could win it Defensive Player of the Year and MVP every single year. I just don't think it's going to go to her every single year. And Aaliyah Boston, the way she can play post defense, she did really well in the playoffs last season. I think that she's getting even quicker and can better on the perimeter. I think that Aaliyah Boston is going to be Defensive Player of the Year. Rookie of the Year, Olivia Miles. Think she's going to have such a runway there in Minnesota. They're going to let her go. I think Flage might actually be my runner-up just because of the situation she is. I think AZ's going to be fitting more into a system where she's going to be very impactful, kind of similar to what Dylan Harper was on the Spurs this year, as Cooper Flagg got to do a lot of his own thing. Con Knipple got to do a lot of his own thing, and Dylan Harper came off the bench and was within a system that was the San Antonio Spurs. I think a lot of that's going to be the same with AZ, but I do think AZ is going to have a good year. And then my MVP is Caitlin Clark. I think coming back year 3, 1 seed, she is going to be within that MVP conversation, and I do think that she's going to win it, because again, I think ties are going to go to some of these new players, and especially someone like Caitlin, who well deserves to be in that MVP conversation. And speaking of MVP conversation, we're going to move over to the WNBA first and second teams. On the WNBA first team, I've got Caitlin Clark, of course, MVP. Paige Beckers, I think that she's going to be in that MVP conversation. Brianna Stewart, who is in that conversation every year. Aaliyah Boston, Defensive Player of the Year. I think Aaliyah is going to almost be in that MVP conversation midseason, where is it Caitlin or is it actually Aaliyah? And then it's going to be like, oh no, it's Caitlin who's putting up 21, 6, and 9, something like that. And then Asia Wilson, of course. And then my second team, Kelsey Plum. I think Kelsey's going to have a great year. She's been playing well in LA, and I think she's going to continue to play well, especially when you have Nneka there, someone who can run the pick and roll with, someone who can going to get you open, someone who you can throw the ball down to in the post, relocate, she'll hit you back, you can hit those spot-up threes like you do so well. Kalia Copper in a situation where she can just ball on the outside. Ryan Howard from Atlanta, I think last year was Alicia Gray. I think this year Ryan Howard does well. Jackie Young. It's Jackie Young, just the model of consistency in the WNBA, and then Alyssa Thomas, who lives on All-NBA on the WNBA first and second team because she's just such a good basketball player. So that is my awards, that is my standings, that is my rankings for all of these teams, and then we go to the playoffs. We get to the playoffs, and how the bracket folds for me. It's a best of 3 in the first round, best of 5 in the second round, best of 7 in the finals. I got Indiana at the 1 seed. I got Chicago at the 8. I've got Indiana winning that series in 3. So I think game 3. You're going to see a lot of long series for the WNBA here. Then I got Dallas versus Atlanta in your 4-5. I got Dallas winning that in 3. So as long as the series can go. New York and Phoenix. I have New York winning that in 3, giving Alyssa Thomas and Kalia Copper credit, giving them respect. And then in 2-7, I got Vegas and the Sparks. That was the one I think could be possibly a sweep, but I'm giving Nneka, Kelsey, I'm giving them respect. So I think all of these first round series are going 3. I think every single one of them. Is the likelihood of that? Probably not. There's usually a sweep or 2, but I think all of them are going 3. Then the best of 5. We've got Indiana and Dallas. Cinema. Fireworks. Paige versus Caitlin. Fireworks. Okay, so I've got Indiana winning that in 5, and that would hurt me because I really wanted to pick Dallas. Like, the fan in me wanted to pick Dallas, but when it comes down to it, I think Aaliyah Boston is the difference between that. Caitlin and Paige can match up. You have Alana who can guard, who is going to do a fine job on Aaliyah, but I just think, or Jessica Shepard, but I just think overall, Aaliyah's going to just be too much for that roster. That's really what it comes down to. I think she is the X factor, and she's going to be the determining factor. Then I got New York and Vegas, and that's a finals matchup in the second round, which we saw the last time that happened in the second round. New York got over on Vegas because Vegas beat them in the championship. I think the right difference here. I think Vegas beats New York in 5. That one was tough for me to choose. I had no idea. I still have no idea. That I can maybe change after I'm done with this. And then we got Vegas and Indiana, and I got Indiana winning it all. And I got Aaliyah Boston as the finals MVP. So the Indiana Fever winning the championship this year over the Las Vegas Aces in 7. I thought last year we were going to utilize the 7 games. We didn't. We only utilized 4 of them. We didn't even need a 7-game series. We only needed 5. But this year, I think that we do utilize a 7. How the playoffs are shaping up for me, I think every game that possibly could be played is going to be played because of how good these women are at basketball. So that is the WNBA prediction that I have. Let me know what you guys think about the predictions in the comments, what you feel about this WNBA season. This is Splash. This is episode 1 of many. I appreciate anybody who is listening here, anybody who stumbles upon this and has made it to this point. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll be back with you guys here very soon.